Hello, everyone. Boone here. I am with Brian Saviano. He's over there. Bricks O'Brien. Hey, thanks for being here with me tonight, Brian. Everybody, this is AFOL Spotlight Live.
Let's go! Climb aboard this proverbial Winnebago. We're talking about the awesome fans of Lego. So build your mock and shift it into drive. It's time for AFOL Spotlight Live.
Hey, everybody. I am in a different place, and my light is super blue, and Brian's studio there is looking really rad. You got a lot of Halloween stuff up. Hey, Brian, how you doing, man?
I am as alive and energetic as anybody can be in the year 2020. I hope you're doing well and everyone else out there is doing well as well. Hello. Welcome to the Halloween hauntings over here.
Ooh, I love it. I just pulled a thumbnail from, I think it was the Galactic Mediator. No, not the Galactic Mediator. What did you build? You just built something on Beyond the Brick like a week ago. It was an old classic spaceship. It's one of my favorites. I just can't think of the name right now. Somebody tell us in the thread in the live chat.
I'm trying to think of what it was. So it was over on there. It was on a Beyond the Brick quarantine cast. An old spaceship?
Yeah, wasn't that just like a week ago? No.
Am I hallucinating? I don't even know what year it is anymore. I don't know what. The only classic thing I've built is I built like a Alpha Team base set, and then I built like a Creator 3-in-1, that new rover thing. That is the only space thing I can think of. It's not an X-wing.
Well, what did I? Maybe that was someone else, but I pulled your thumbnail image that I used for this live stream from a live stream that you did very recently with Beyond the Brick.
Is it really? I don't know. I have no clue. Well, I saw the image was of me, and it was over there. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
what matters is that we're here, and it's going to be a great time on AFOL Spotlight Live.
All right, everybody. Cody is here. Willie Ball is here. Alyssa, Perry, Moto, Chris, Fazoom. Vision is here. Jeff McElwee, Dave Morgan. Hey, everybody. Thank you all so much for being with us. Speaking of Jeff McElwee, Brian, you have a connection with Jeff.
Unfortunately, yes, I do. Jeff,
and I can tell that you're going to be one of the favorite guests I've ever had on this show.
Well, let's hope I don't mess it up. It's just started. How many minutes are we in? 2 minutes? Okay. And Jeff already given us money, or you money rather. For God's sake, it was Joshua, and he built the Galactic Explorer. Yeah, that makes sense.
It wasn't the Galactic Explorer. It was the Cosmic Fleet Voyager. You did not build the Cosmic Fleet Voyager?
Boone, I don't even know what that is, man. I have no clue whatsoever. Hold on,
I'll pull it up.
Cosmic Fleet Voyager. I don't even know what you're. Oh, that was Joshua. Yeah. He found that in a lot full of sets, and he's like, "Oh, I got to rebuild this." Yes, the classic, almost Benny spaceship looking ship.
Yeah, it's almost.
Kind
but
of.
I don't. Were you on the stream at the same time?
I was. So I can see how you would get confused. It's okay. There's a lot going on in the world. I understand.
Oh man. All right. Hey, there it is. The Cosmic Fleet Voyager.
In case anybody thought, what is this set? It's a very nice set. It's a great set, but I did not buy any such thing. Unfortunately, it's very expensive.
It's definitely one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. All right, Brian. That was a weird little trip into like a Mandela effect.
Yep. You know what they call this in the industry, Boone? Content. That's what they call it.
It's content.
So it's great. It's great.
Brian.
Yeah.
How did you end up on AFOL Spotlight Live?
All right. So and going into this too. So I lurk in the background of the streams and the whatnot, and I ended up knowing Jeff. I don't even know how. I think Jeff just like manifested his way into my life. just like like pollen coming off of the trees and onto the car, and then there you go. And I saw Jeff go on, and you have a very eclectic group of people that you have on here, very, very talented, well respected, highly valued community members on here. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to be on the show. And then I ended up being and talking to Jeff, and I had messaged him offhand while you were doing this show, and I'm like, when's Boone going to have me on this show? Like, come on, like I could make up something and be on here. And then at that moment, I had waved in the chat, and you were like, Brian, Facebook, do it. And I'm like,
and I had no idea. I had no idea you were talking with Jeff about. It was completely serendipitous that you had been talking to Jeff. I think very tangentially was distantly aware that you and Jeff knew each other, but you and I know each other from Beyond the Brick.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Where do you want to start with your story? Typically, I ask people, how did you become an AFOL, or when did you start building with Lego? I think maybe for you, the question is like, where does the content and this interest group intersect, and how did that all begin?
All right, you want to go there? All right, cool. So we'll go way back into the days. So I started doing videos pertaining to gaming in the 7th grade. So 2009, in case anybody out there wants to feel really old. And when the internet, YouTube was not a very big thing. It was just, cat videos and whatever else. And I started recording me playing Pokemon and Mario, Super Sluggers and all that. And
at that time, if you wanted to follow somebody's stuff, you just had to like bookmark their channel, right? I mean,
yes. Well,
there wasn't a real robust
like
subscription, piece of the platform.
There was, but it's not like it is today at all. Not even remotely. Like It's early internet days, sort of a thing. And as I was doing that, I obviously had Lego as a passion of mine and grew up with it. One of my favorite themes was Knights Kingdom 2 in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. So that's where my nostalgia began in that way. And one of my first sets I ever had was the Alpha Team. It's like a base with like a skull on it and whatnot. So that's where that started. And I had gone into, making videos like that for a very long time. Out of high school, I ended up working at the Lego store for a very long time, and worked there part-time while I was also working on the Brick Show while that was still a YouTube channel. And then through my going to conventions with those guys and making content for them, decided to go out onto my own and then do the gaming thing full time as Brian Saviano with the whole 9 yards kit and caboodle. Ended up getting in cahoots with the Hanlon brothers on a whim by me being at Brick Fair, Virginia. And it's been like this the entire time, but it's been a time, and I don't know how I ended up here, but I'm here. So it's a very summarized story there, I guess, of everything.
Yeah. Okay. So how long would you say you've been creating? I call myself a contributor.
Sure.
To Beyond the Brick. So how long would you say you've been contributing?
Well, okay, let me tell you the story of what it actually was, in case anybody out there or you haven't heard it or whoever. I was at Brick Fair, Virginia, at the behest of one Kevin Hinkle, who said, you need to go to this and you need to help out with the show. And I was like, all right, cool. I was sitting at the very front main desk on Saturday night. That was the night of Adult Swim, where all of the adults end up bringing in cartfuls of vacation juice and talk about whatever they're going to talk about. All the kids get kicked out. And the Hanlon brothers apparently didn't plan out ahead of time their content. So there was somebody that were doing the video of the overview of the entire show with them, and they were underage. So I was sitting there building my Lego set at 11 o'clock at night. Joshua says, hey, do you want to finish up this entire tour of the show with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Cool.
Did he know who you were?
Yes. He had known of me. And I think he had known, like, I think this guy can pull his weight. He's all right. And so at 11, we went from like 11 to almost 1 in the morning of just me bouncing off of Joshua, going through the entirety of the rest of the convention hall. And that's what started me being on Beyond the Brick. And I got a red shirt, and I'm on the quarantine cast, and I get sets to review. And there was never a dotted line contract. I never like,
Right.
You know, when like when Iron Man is like in Avengers Infinity War, and he's like to Spider-Man, all right, you're an Avenger now. There was no moment like that. It was just, here you are, you're here, so yeah, that happened last September, I believe. So August or September.
All right. So it's working. It's working. Okay.
It's working. The wheels have not fallen off yet. One day at a time.
I feel like this whole gig, there's a lot of similarities between your story and mine. I mean, it's a Venn diagram where some of it overlaps and some of it doesn't. But
right.
The whole thing is just sort of will there be a tomorrow kind of journey, right? And we just sort of keep assuming there will be, and we go from there. Yep. So, Brian, how did you become Bricks O'Brien?
So that was after I left the Brick Show, and I was like, all right, I want to make the name for myself and be able to do things like have my own t-shirts and come up with an identity. And it was somewhat with Lego in mind, but as I have not covered a lot of Lego things on my channel, the name Bricks O'Brien doesn't necessarily carry as much weight in the Lego realm as I had maybe initially thought. And not everybody who has bricks in their name is necessarily from the Lego community either. It can be a total, correlation or whatever. So it doesn't necessarily pertain to that. And I did that in summer or fall 2018, and it's been under this since then. And that's just kind of a name I go by for the sake of going by a name. But I like to go by Brian Saviano, the guy. So.
Okay, well, I just wanted to share a little Google search here with everyone. And for some reason, if I search Brian Saviano, the first suggestion is
net worth,
Brian
right?
Saviano net worth.
Right. I'm worth a lot of money, Boone. At least 7 figures. At least. No, so that's how you've made it in like the Lego YouTube or the YouTubing world when little kids look up like, hey, how much money do you make? So I've made it. Yay.
But one of the things I love here is just how slick your graphics are.
Well, thank you.
You've got this logo here, and this thing is one that I threw on. And look at this. This is just like, this looks beautiful. I asked everybody. I asked Brian yesterday. I said, do you design these graphics yourself? I said, who designs your graphics? I want to get this guy because this one that has the city in the background.
Yes,
man, I just think that is slick.
So let me elaborate a little bit here. So the gentleman who initially made the Bricks O'Brien mascot and avatar goes by Odin Lousley. He is a incredible graphic designer who does incredible work. The skyline that you see in the lower image there, that was by Guy Rodwell, who does a lot of work for Pokemon content creators and whatnot across the internet. The snippet of the torso you kind of see underneath the new channel 1, that is a Iron Man inspired suit by Kevin Hinkle, as well as the new Super Bricks O'Brien sticker that is sold out. That is by Kevin as well. So I have like a plethora of artists I work with who all bring something different to the table. And, if somebody's not available for this one thing, like Kevin, because he's busy doing 1,000 other things, I have other people working on this or that or whatever. So it's a good balance of everything. Boone, you're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself.
It's okay.
For a second there. Well, I think it's all beautiful. You do a great job. Your various people you're working with, really strong brand, recognition there. I think it's great.
The idea is that I make myself look as professional as possible to keep up the facade for as long as I can until you're like, oh, it's actually not that professional. All right, cool. And then that's it. So,
well, I love your studio too. You're doing a great job, but I got to say, Spot the Magic Ninja is here to support the live stream with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Spot. And Jeff, in case us giving you a hard time earlier wasn't a big enough thanks for your $5, thank you very much for always being here. Great supporters. Thank you so much. And they didn't even have any questions. People, they just come and give money.
There you go. Right.
All right. Brian, we're going to do a little bit of show and tell.
We have show and tell?
You said that you have just enough to
okay,
show,
cool.
Right?
Yes,
we got some stuff. All right. So here it is, show and tell. I can never remember until I click on it that show and tell doesn't have a song yet. With Brian. All right, there we go. So, do you want to show the couple things you have sitting with you, or should I flip over to the Instagram?
Okay, so I'll show off the things I have here. Combination of things that are Bricks O'Brien related and custom commissions I've had, in the pipeline here. So the first one of which I'll show off here, as I say, this is going in the casket with me. This is a Lego Piplup that I cherish ever so much so. And if you are familiar, you might be familiar with the builder Boone. He is a master model builder at a Legoland Discovery Center. And he has been at a lot of different conventions throughout the years. And he makes a bunch of different Pokemon as well. Mike Nieves, Nieves. He is so incredibly talented. He's made various Pokemon, and Piplup was one that I wanted to have done. And once I saw him at Brick Fair, Virginia, during that Adult Swim night, I was like, dude, I love your builds. I got to get something from you. And he's like, yeah, sure. Tell me what you want. And then that's how that ended up happening. And even like this build for the Glacier is awesome in itself. Like the way that, this got here all in one piece, surprisingly so. And it's a little fragile, but I am obviously never going to break it. So I'll show you Piplup a little more in depth here. I can't even describe the techniques that are going on in here. I'm sure you can, but
it's so precious. I love it. I mean, precious as a character, not precious as a build. It's incredibly intricate and beautiful as a build. It's great. And the colors.
Yes.
Is the blue of the head like the standard blue, or is that like the dark azure?
It's a dark azure.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah. I just love the blues. There's just some really beautiful blues, and he matches your branding.
Yeah, I mean that's probably coincidental. Like, blue is my favorite color, but that's one of the Pokemon I grew up with and I love. And I'm like, all right, I wanted to have something Pokemon related because Lego is not going to do it. So that was a great thing there. Before the time this was actually during the time when Lego Super Mario was a thing. Brick and Nick actually made me this right here to commemorate Paper Mario being
so
released.
Rad.
And this is a scene from the game on the GameCube in 2004, my favorite game of all time. He made this to commemorate the new game that just released, and it's like a 2D. It's supposed to be all flat, but he did an incredible job capturing what this is supposed to be, and I was happy to support him when he decided to make a build like that. Two other quick things. Something that had been a hot commodity that I didn't think it would be is this custom printed minifigure of ya boy, Brian Saviano, right there. Bricks O'Brien minifigure printed by Eclipse Graphics. And there were 125 made, and a few for Creations for Charity went up recently. They were gone in 10 minutes. And that's all that's left.
Wow.
The last thing that's going to be it's being worked on as we speak. Spoiler alert for anyone who wants to stay in the loop. This guy right over here. That's the new thing for the holiday season that the kids are all talking about. So, this was designed by Pino Creations, on Instagram, and he's made a plethora of these figures. And I'll actually show you a couple of more.
And are those printed by Eclipse?
No. So these stickers are actually clear stickers from Sticker Mule.
Okay.
And it just worked out better for cost and you're getting the point across. But like even the techniques he used to make it all flat, it's awesome. He's made a plethora of Super Smash Brothers characters. So here's like King DDD right there. If you're familiar with him, I'll show you my favorite one of the bunch. I always keep them like handy dandy because I love showing them off. This is Banjo-Kazooie from the Nintendo 64. So this is one of the best ones he's done. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah. So after I bought these from him, I'm like, all right, can I commission you to make a buildable Bricks O'Brien figure? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he did the instructions and everything too. So that's going to be coming up soon. But these builds are awesome. So
I love it, man. That's incredible.
I like to compensate for my lack of building by having a collection of other people's awesome builds. So helps inspire me.
Well, that's what we're all about here.
Yeah.
Adult fan of Lego doesn't necessarily mean frequent builder.
Sure,
but we've got a couple right here in your. We'll take a look at the Instagram. So what can you tell us about this?
So that one right there, that's actually inspired by Kevin Hinkle, who makes a pixelated art based off of characters. And the way that it's designed is, do I have it anywhere near me? I don't think I do. But it's a bunch of black plates behind it. And then using only 1x1s on the very top layer, I actually convey whatever the image is, whatever the Pokemon is. So that way you can see it's still like pixels on the screen rather than it just being plates, kind of like you can see the lines when you're building like that. So having 1x1s keeps it looking like it's from a video game. So that's Togepi from Generation 2 of Pokemon. Very adorable baby Pokemon. One of my favorites. Is there another one that I tossed up in there? Potentially. Yeah. So that was the first one I did, a Balloon Pikachu way back over a year ago. It was a decision between Balloon Pikachu, Surfing Pikachu. And for anyone who's a Pokemon fan out there, I wanted to do this because Kevin did Trainers Red and Blue from Red and Blue. There's Pokemon Yellow, which focuses on Pikachu. I did Balloon Pikachu because in Pokemon Snap, you get more points for taking a picture of Balloon Pikachu than Surfing Pikachu. So I decided to go with Balloon Pikachu for that reason. Very technical, very well thought out. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Balloon Pikachu makes me feel like I want to build a Balloon Boone.
There you go. Right.
Like, wouldn't I be great in that? Just like Balloon Boone, with the arms out.
I think all of us can strive to be as happy as Balloon Pikachu. I wish I could be, but it's a great looking like pixel
Not
art.
this year. No.
Oh, no. Maybe 2021, 2022. We'll see. We shall see.
We'll always look back at 2020 as a year that happened.
Yes. It existed. There were 366, 65. Was it a leap year? I don't know.
I think it was a leap year.
I think it was.
We got an extra dose.
Yes.
Of 2020.
We'll forget all the days, however many days it was.
We got who's this one from? This is
me as well.
Oh, okay, great.
So this is Slow King, one of my favorite Pokemon as well from Generation 2. And you can see there's 1x1s. It's not I remember posting this, I think, on Reddit. I tried to, and someone was like, can you take a close-up picture so we can verify it's not Mega Blocks? And I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. So here's your close-up. But yeah, that's Slow King. That is the art based off of the original games, like the sprite work. It's from the original game, but I modernized the colors. So that was a pretty tall-looking Pokemon. And hopefully I can make another one of those soon, of one of my other favorite Pokemon. Just Pokemon works pretty well. So, once I'm not busy doing everything else, it's probably what's going to happen.
Awesome. And I'll just flip on over here to the Facebook page.
Sure.
Brian Saviano. It's actually facebook.com/BricksO'Brien right there.
There you go.
And people can find updates on what you got going on here. Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
There's us.
There we go. So the thing with like what I do normally with Lego content is I funnel almost all of that energy into Beyond the Brick. So I don't do any Lego building on my live streams or my content. So I just put it full steam on there and do it that way. So if anyone wants to follow what I'm doing beyond all this, pun intended, Beyond the Brick Quarantine Cast, the Facebook page, there's a lot of ways to stay in touch. So I'd recommend that if you want to, stay there. And there should have been a post that went up about AFOL Spotlight Live. It should be on there. Oh, you didn't.
Oh yeah,
refresh
it was right there. It's right there.
Oh no, there's another one about us being live right now. No, it's there. Don't worry. It's there. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I want to make sure I promote the program. All right.
Oh,
is it not there on your end? Oh,
I think so. It's just I have terribly slow internet here. I'll talk just a little bit. I'm at a place that is not my studio, and it's the same place that I was multiple times this summer when I wasn't in my studio, except the beautiful outside view that I had during those live streams in the summer is now it's just cold. It's very cold.
Right.
So I'm sitting in a room, and I had 3 boxes that have something to do with Lego with me, and that I could show. I've got 2 other boxes that I can't show right now, and other than that, there's nothing Lego here. So I put these up. Here, and I covered up the appliances that are in this room with a beach blanket. So
I've seen you on location on when you have the view, and I can see the reflection behind you, and I'm like, I want to be there right now. Where's he at? It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's an incredible view. I'm gonna keep this location secret, but
of course, as you should. But I just wanted to let you know I am incredibly jealous. So
well, all right. So speaking of studios and the rooms we're sitting in, what can you give me like 2 incredible things that you got there? What are your favorite things?
Well, one of the things is this Kirby over here. This is from First Four Figures. I bought this using money that I spent spinning charity wheels at a gaming convention. So I used the tickets I got from that to buy that. So that's one of my favorites, not pertaining to Lego, but pertaining to Lego are probably these 2 over here. These 2 buildings, both lit up by Light My Bricks products. Use code Beyond the Brick 10 to justify the sponsorship. And I paid for this one full price. They sent this one over, and they look awesome. So these 2 I have up because obviously Halloween spooky season. I have Hogwarts and the bookshop and whatnot. But yes, I love that the lights flicker on this too. It really gives it the spooky vibe. So that's my 2. If I had to narrow it down, everything here is cool, but yeah, those are the 2.
What do you think is the best set you've had the privilege of reviewing for Beyond the Brick?
Okay, so you want a set?
Well, that's what you do for Beyond the Brick generally, right?
Sure. Right. So okay,
or what? How would you prefer to answer that question?
So
you can ask yourselves the questions if you want, Brian, and I can.
Right. Okay, so obviously, the magnum opus of my time doing Lego anything is this guy right here.
Oh,
so obviously, right? It has to be. In terms of an individual set that I really enjoyed reviewing and had a lot of fun with, because this was a lot of work explaining everything, a part of it, and in one video and whatnot. It was a lot of work. Sesame Street that I did literally today was really fun out of the box and a joy to do. And it was a lot more, it came a lot more naturally just because of what it was. And yeah, getting a lot of information out on this guy, it was very tough. So, but fun. So I would say that of any one thing. But obviously, all the Mario stuff overall takes the cake far and away.
Right. Okay, so Sesame Street, your review just came out today.
Yes.
What I thought the shtick of the ABC 1, 2, 3 was very clever. I hope that if I had been asked to do that set, I hope I would have come up with an idea as good as that.
You would have. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Just like off the cuff, we saw your review. If you didn't see Brian's review on the Sesame Street from Lego Ideas, go check that out on Beyond the Brick. But here we're relaxed. We're having a good time. Tell us your gut reactions to Sesame Street.
It is the best Lego set I've built all year. And I say that as somebody who for what I like in a Lego build, which is I hate dull, gray, repetitive. So you can just throw Star Wars out the window. I just like, it's not what I like. Sesame Street was never repetitive, incredibly colorful. It was a Lego idea set, so it was unique. Tons of pieces, tons of characters, references, stickers. And not only that, but there was also, when I was shocked by seeing the Technic pins on the side, a lot of potential for a second build to come along so you can see the Count or Grover or whoever being in the next set if there were to be another one. So I was very happy building that all the way through, and just seeing new. I love minifigures, so seeing the new characters come to life, and I can stand Elmo next to Harry Potter or Bricks O'Brien or whoever, whatever. It looks so cool to see it be official and well done by Lego. So
yeah, I'm very excited about it. I think they did an incredible job with the figures. I'm gonna get that set. Jim Henson generally is very dear to me. I absolutely loved Sesame Street as a kid, and so I'm very much looking forward to building that one. You talk a little bit about Elmo being official. How expand on that a little bit? You don't have to talk about any more about Elmo, but tell us about official stuff. Like, what about that was important to you that like, oh, now this is a thing that like really exists? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah. So there's as much as I like, okay. So having this character, right? The miniature version of my avatar, really cool, right? It doesn't have the same level of quality that it would be if it were to be officially printed by Lego. Ideally with this guy here, there would have been a custom molded hair piece for the hair, something like that. So anytime that there's a custom anything, there's always limitations. Even if you have really expert gear that's really refined, to not only get it to where it should be for the project, whatever you may be working on, like you can only do that so much, especially if you're working with a licensed thing. You don't want to, if you make a custom mold for Elmo in your workshop and then you start selling it, it's like, well, that's a little. So the fact that Lego has the permission for it, the quality and the scale of it, that to me is important because of accessibility for people to get it and to keep it cost effective. When you have custom figures like this guy, sold for a higher price than a piece of plastic like this should, but because it's limited numbers and whatever. So that's why I like the official things, but I have custom things as well because that's what I like and what's more feasible, but it is important.
Awesome. Well, I love that too. I've had discussions with my guests in the past about when you say official, when you talk about customization, people are all over the board, right? My very first guest on AFOL Spotlight Live was Jake Sadovich, and he, incredible builder, incredible designer. And he's like, hey, it's your stuff. Do what you want with it. He's going to customize it. He's going to cut up the stickers. He's going to, paint stuff. And I think probably the furthest, maybe the biggest purist I've had on was Ryan Zagalo, Brick Bat Dad. And he is like, he will just almost stop talking to you if he realizes you've done something that's not 100% official. But again, he's sort of has fun being a jerk to people. And he knows it, and I think it's all in love.
Right, of course.
But and man, I have so much appreciation for both ends of those spectrum.
Right.
And I find myself somewhere in the middle. I think I probably tend to lean a little bit more toward purist when I'm building mocks or when I'm displaying stuff at Lego conventions. I'm probably not going to paint stuff. I'm probably not going to cut stuff up. I'm probably not going to use things that were pressed or manufactured by a company other than Lego.
Right.
And so I have a great deal of appreciation for people who are very 100% purist. But at the same time, I have had wishes for what I can create that took me outside, desires that took me outside of 100% pure. And in those moments, it's compelling. The idea is compelling enough to me to seek an avenue outside of the official parts. Anyway,
so what I would say to that is that Lego, to me, and this is what makes it interesting to witness people take Lego as a creative art form and to use it in the way that they do. Like, if you wanted to just make a painting or paint something a specific way, you could paint it. To me, Lego is about, using the limitations of the pieces to convey what you want to perfectly in that style, using those restrictions, even though there's no restrictions. But, if you want to make a model of the DeLorean, you're not just going to mold it into metal and then call it a day. It's going to have weird angles. It's not going to be 100% perfect because it's using Lego pieces. And as long as custom things can stay within the realm of the system, as we all know it is a system, then I think that's more fair game than if it were a big, giant, molded dinosaur head that's different to convey what it is it's supposed to be. There's that line as well. So
yeah. Okay, well, good. I'm glad we talked about that.
Yes.
Brian, the only sort of official piece of this show that we have left is Q&A, where people in the chat ask us questions. But I feel like it's such a special thing that you and I are on one-on-one. You mentioned in the pre-show, which I don't usually talk about the pre-show on the show, and people don't know that it's very exclusive. You have to be a guest on the show to be able to be in on the pre-show. But we talked a little bit about how exciting it was to be together one-on-one tonight, because we've only had experiences with each other in like big full rooms of live, right? So I don't want to be hasty to get to the Q&A if there are other things that we should cover while we're here.
I have a thing I'd like to cover with you. This is something that I've wanted to talk about with you publicly, because I know in the pre-show it's exclusive, right? We don't want to talk, but I said I wasn't going to put your feet to the fire. I might have been lying. You murdered my boy. You murdered him, and you got Boone. You got more views on that video than all the other Lego Super Mario videos I did for Beyond the Bricks. So I just want to let you know that my feelings are hurt that you literally murdered what I've been looking forward to my entire life for the satisfaction of people online. All right.
They told you he was already broken, right?
So I'll tell you what actually happened. So
did you send him to me?
Yes. Oh yeah. This is part of the joke. So what happened was, what happened was I was playing with Lego Super Mario when it first all unfolded, and for I think I closed the app or something happened, and he was just like a slot machine playing different things on his screen, and I'm like, all right, hey Lego, what do I do? And they were like, we'll send you a new one. And I'm like, okay. So I had it in my hands, and I'm like, Boone is a really articulate guy with this stuff. He likes prying stuff apart. And not only did I realize that, but you also said in a quarantine cast, hey, I'd love to take this guy apart.
Yeah.
So I was looking at my sweet, beautiful lad here that I've been looking forward to meeting my entire life. And I thought, you know what? This is going to sit here forever, right? Why don't I just send this Mario to Boone? And I guarantee you the video is going to pop off because nobody else had done it, because we all had early access to it and no one wanted to pry theirs apart first. So you were the first one to do it. And then not only did you take it apart, but then you put it back together. So you saved a little bit in my heart. So
yeah, and I think, you know, with a little bit of the right type of solvent or adhesive, I think he could be almost there's two spots on the side where the hair covers his temple that I couldn't get it.
probably.
Yeah, those
in
two.
there.
I just couldn't get it off without doing a little bit of that, you know, that thing that happens where the plastic lightens up just a little bit where it creases. Other than that, he could go back together and be functional again if if we had a solution for whatever software issue is troubling him.
Right, of course.
Well, okay, so that's interesting to me. So you knew it was coming. You didn't want it to happen, yet somehow you found yourself party to the undertaking.
Yes.
For the sake of
the internet. You know,
the internet.
So when I saw this turn on, and I saw the initial video, and I'm like, there's a little screen under there. And it was so funny watching all these gaming YouTubers be like, oh, is this a Nintendo Switch dock? Is that a Switch? And I'm like, you people don't know what you're talking about. And I could tell what it was. And I was curious about how this thing worked exactly, because to me, as somebody who's been probably the number one advocate of Lego Super Mario on the internet, obnoxiously so, is a culmination of a bunch of different technologies that Lego has been developing for years. And for Mario specifically, on here, I believe the copyright date says 2018 on here. So this came out, in case you forgot, 2020. So this is already 2 years old. Who knows what Lego has in the pipeline? And seeing all the technology in this small form factor was so cool. And I knew that people wanted to see it. And obviously, you know, I have like 3 of these now everywhere. Like I'm spilling over myself with Lego Super Mario, and I'm not complaining. Send me more Lego. But, you know, I knew that if I sent it to you, it would be in good hands, and people want to know what it is. I couldn't do that video because I don't know how to. I'm not messing with that. You have the whole workshop of wonders over there, pry them apart, and you put them back together. It was great. I love it.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to give you heat publicly for it, because this is my pride and joy. Okay. So I had to a little bit. So.
And actually, I think we were in a quarantine cast with Carl Merriam when that came up, weren't we? Who was on he is on the design team.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been on that team since the inception, but
sure.
He's to my knowledge, he's there now. And he didn't give me a hard time about it. Well, okay. Anyway,
nobody gave a hard time. And I think I said to Josh or John, I'm like, hey, you think Lego will get mad if we rip this apart on the internet? And they're like, I don't think so. It's fine. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to conveniently send this to Boone because I like Boone Langston, right? I'm just going to put this in there. Whatever happens, happens.
Well, thank you.
There just so happened to be a video of you taking a cadaver to his scalp, and then it got almost 1 million views. So my ASMR video has 400,000, so I'm catching up. Don't you worry.
All right. Sounds good. Tell us a little bit about what you do outside of the Beyond the Brick stuff.
So, So I do live streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/BricksO'Brien, 3 days a week, where I do a variety of things, Minecraft or Luigi's Mansion, whatever it may be. I also do gameplay videos 7 days a week on my YouTube channel, and have somehow found my way into having a very passionate audience for who I am and what I do, regardless of what I do. So for those who may not be familiar, gameplay videos usually revolve around whatever the game is and explaining the game. But a lot of the time I've played the game before and I end up talking about nonsense stories like I would on a quarantine cast or a podcast or anything like that. So my approach is a little bit different in that regard, and people of all ages end up watching what I do. So to the point where I have the Facebook page and I have an entirely dedicated mom squad who tunes into my videos more so than their kids tune into my videos at this point. So where most Twitch chatters would be mid-20s, late-teen guys, I have moms in my chat berating me for not buying paper bowls at Target. So it's a very unique audience that I have found myself in. And I just play video games and talk about whatever's going on in my life and figure out whatever content comes out of that from there. So
awesome. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you being here. I think let's head on into Q&A. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Hey everybody, it's AFOL Q&A. AFOL Q&A with Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
I do appreciate all the different tunes you do for all the different like songs you have on the show. I love it.
I got to tell you something. It's interesting. I've been a songwriter for a number of years, but the like making up a song on the fly was not a thing that I ever had any reason to do before Lego Masters.
Right.
You know, it was this thing that sort of this shtick that came up in the 3rd episode with Will Arnett, and then he just kept throwing it back to me all throughout the season. And there was some that you didn't even get to see in the final edit. But anyway, all right. Joey Cox says, "Hi Boone." Hi Joey. What is you got a Tesla on there? Nice.
I want one of those. You want to send one to the PO box, Joey?
Yeah,
we'll talk.
Put those Q's in the C and we will come up with some A's.
Potentially, if there's anything to discuss. I mean, I usually just talk about nothing all the time and hope something pops up. But
Matt Clark says, how do you decide who reviews what sets for Beyond the Brick?
Well, considering I don't cut the checks, I don't. It usually... So what usually happens, at least for me, I don't know if the process is different for you, Boone.
I feel the need to say there are no checks.
No, there's no checks.
So,
no.
Just so everyone's clear, he said he's not the one that cuts the checks, but there are no checks.
Nope.
Okay.
Maybe there should be. Hey, Timmy. So, no, usually what happens is I'll get a box from DHL, and I'm like, why? What did you send me? And then, it's Baby Yoda. All right, whatever, cool. But it's John who's the one who's like, hey, you'll do this, you'll do that, and yeah.
I think I think John, like I've got, how do I say this tactfully? I've gotten really busy.
Yeah.
I've published or streamed to YouTube 22 days in a row as of today. Boone Builds is now its own recognized Lego fan media outlet. I've been doing a lot of stuff since Lego Masters. And so I have had to graciously or gracefully encourage John not to send as much stuff for Beyond the Brick to me as I used to do.
Right.
But I think, I've had an incredible time with the Hanlons since I met them in a very similar situation as the one you described earlier in the video. And I owe a tremendous amount of what I've been able to, I guess the connections I've been able to make in the AFOL community, I owe a tremendous amount of that to my time at Beyond the Brick and to John and Joshua. They've been really awesome. So we like to keep some amount of, collaboration, and every now and then John will catch wind of something that's coming that he thinks I will be really, really, really excited about. And so, for instance, the 1989 Batwing, because I'm a huge Batman fan.
Right.
1989 was like my childhood Batman. Okay, holy smokes, we got some super chats to catch up with here. So just every now and then. Moto, thank you, $10, Moto. Do you have any cool things found online? That is a segment we sometimes do, cool stuff we found online, and we didn't talk about it because because of my travels today, we had less time to sort of collaborate ahead of time, so we just skipped cool stuff we found online. But you could answer that. Is there anything cool that you've seen online lately?
No, not particularly. I've been focusing on the Sesame Street review and a lot of my own content as well. So like I'm trying to limit the amount of social media I intake and just my awareness for things, only because, like, you know, a little less screen time as someone who's spent a ton of time in front of the screen always. So I don't have anything that is cool to, like, you know, pop up on a whim necessarily.
Well, I'll just go ahead and plug. We'll do a cool stuff we found online here, because that allows me to play the one segment intro that actually has a theme song. Here it goes. Cool stuff we found online. Did that totally glitch on your end?
No, I totally saw it just fine.
You heard the whole thing. Okay,
oh, yeah.
Cool. So we'll just say Sesame Street is our cool stuff we found online. Is there? I'm surprised. I thought that your did the actual YouTube video on Beyond the Brick come up today?
Yes, it did.
So we'll go there. YouTube.com/Beyond the Brick TV.
It's a great set. I mean, even if you're not super into Sesame Street, I just like building Lego buildings. I've built enough spaceships and whatnot that I like having a lineup of buildings that aren't necessarily modular priced. So yeah. I like it. So
I do like, you know, although I was gonna say Diagon Alley, but Diagon Alley certainly was modular priced.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you know, I like the fact that we're getting some modular-ish buildings in some other themes. You know,
sure,
I think those are two examples that could easily go into a city with modular buildings and look, you know, pretty decent.
Totally.
So here it is. I'm gonna click on this, but I can't let it play, or else this will all get flagged here, and then I won't be able to earn any money on this video.
Well, Joshua flag you? Is he like behind the screen? Like, I'm waiting for the moment.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. No, it's just the YouTube weird computers, the YouTube pewters.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
There you are. You're on the phone at the beginning of.
Yes, I'm on the phone because I'm giving someone directions on how to get to Sesame Street.
I saw there must have been was that edited out of the Facebook version?
It must have been. Yes, it was.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let me just see if I can find a good still here that we can rest on. Oh, but your eyes are closed. That's cute. It looks like you're meditating.
There we go. Right.
All right, so there's your cool stuff. There's your cool stuff we found online, Moto. Yes. Moto, thank you so much for your support, not only as one of my lovely moderators, but also with the $10. I feel weird that a moderator would also donate money to the chat because you're here working. But thank you so much, Moto. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry that I thanked you by saying that I felt weird, because that's not a very kind way to thank you. Jeff McElwee with another $5. Brian once killed a man with a Wiimote and a mustache. Brian, how's that saloon doing, buddy? I don't know what any of this means.
Okay, so I usually have a goatee, right? That is my traditional look. And, you know, I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I've never had a mustache. We'll see how it looks. And I don't love it, but, you know, it's here. At least
it's very Mario-esque.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to dress as Luigi for Halloween. So I'm like, I don't want that faux mustache. I want the real thing. So I I apparently invoke someone who's a bandit from the Western Times. So yeah, I once killed a man with a Wiimote, and you don't know his name, and that's for good reason. Thank you, Jeff, for the $5 super chat. Much appreciated.
Matthew T with the $5, arriving late, but I'm glad I was able to catch some of this live. You're welcome, Matthew T, and thank you so much for the support. Just making sure we haven't missed any other super chats, but we haven't really asked any questions.
Yeah.
Here's one. Classic Bricks says, Boone builds, is that a Lego watch? If so, where did you get it? It is a Lego watch. This is upside down. You can see, I can't show it to you right side up. There's no way to do it, but there's a little brick on there. The buttons that are used to, the buttons that are used to set the various functions are like studs. They're the size of studs. And the links are just like the child watches, but they're actually wider. So it's more of an adult version of a Lego watch. Where did I get it? I think I bought it on eBay a number of years ago. That's the answer to the question. Brian, do you have any interesting Lego items that are not just Lego building kits?
One thing that I can think of off the top of my head that is in a box currently, when I worked at the Lego store, there was, I think, so we were cleaning out the windows of all the master model builders sets, the whatever they were. And we all got to pick at like one that we could ideally want if we were to get one of them. And I have a model of a big block of cheese with mice. So they're all different mice that are like, one's popping out of the cheese, one is like lying down, one of them is looking really angry. The eyes are skeleton heads, and there's pirate hats for the eyelids on some of them. And then the tail is like, it's like fishing wire kind of, and there's like pink flowers for the tail, so you can like bend them and everything. And the models are glued together, and it was from a store that is very, very old. It's one of the oldest Lego stores in the US. So they cleaned them all out, and it was one of the first like renditions of that master model kit. So I love that. And that's one of my more prized Lego items that isn't a Lego set or kit specifically. It's still Lego.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, let's see. Red Brick Redemption says, hey, Bricks O'Brien, what would be the next Nintendo theme you would pick for Lego to release if given the chance?
We don't have 3 hours, Red Brick Redemption. Unfortunately, Boone has to eat. He's got a family, wife, kids. So, okay. So,
now, somebody, hold on. Before you answer this question, I published the link for this live stream yesterday, and a bunch of people started chatting like 24 hours in advance. And someone from Europe says, you're always having to leave your guest early because you have to go eat. And now I don't always have to go eat. That's just the excuse I use on the nights when I haven't already eaten before the stream. We go on at 6 my time, which means if I'm gonna eat dinner, I have to start eating dinner at 5 p.m. or 5:15 or maybe 5:30. I've got enough time. And that's usually a little bit earlier than my family eats, but sometimes I will. Like tonight, I sat down at 5. I had, something to drink, and I had some hummus, and I had some chips, and I had some something else. There was some sort of green thing there, and that was enough to let me start the stream without feeling like I need to like sneak out.
Sure, right.
But it's not like I'm a starving person.
No.
So it's time for me to go eat is really more of a like, I'm sensing from the chat that the evening is coming to a close, and I need to go eat is the thing I say. I don't know why.
And you know what? Sometimes I know for me, like if I eat a full meal beforehand doing a live show, then I'm a little groggy. So I'm like, I need a little something to hold me over. And yeah, I totally get that too. So like, for instance, we're going to get to this in a second here, but we'll talk a little shop here. So live streaming gaming content, the standard is 6 to 8 hours of a live stream gaming. And to me, that is ridiculous. And when I do a live show, when you do a live show, it's all right, we're here, the momentum stop, like a TV show, like a broadcast, like a professional would, right? Not just like, a gaming stream would literally be just sitting here like for a couple hours and hoping people find it entertaining, even though it's really boring. So I totally subscribe to your idea too. I only do my live streams for like an hour and a half when I'm on solo. And that's why I like the Beyond the Brick streams too. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's cancel this. And I know Jeff said in the chat, he's like, oh, really? Your excuse was that, you have to go eat because that's what you told Jeff when Jeff was on. Jeff, you got a long time on AFOL Spotlight Live. You got 2 weeks worth of Boone time. All right. So let's take a relaxing stroll through the park here. So I wholeheartedly agree with it.
Now that doesn't mean, Jeff, that doesn't mean that when we were done with our stream, I didn't then go directly and sit down and eat dinner. I certainly did that night, but I can't do much more than like an hour and a half or 2 hours. So
I'm the same way. I can't do that. So which is why the 24-hour live stream is going to be HE double hockey sticks for me, because I'm always like this. So I need to allocate my energy throughout the whole thing.
Are you going to be on for 24 hours?
Yeah. I am.
Good for you.
Is it?
Good for you.
Is it? I mean, it's good. Like, I know I've never done it. And obviously for Creations for Charity, great cause, of course. Like, totally on the ball for it. It's going to be good having other people show up throughout it. And as long as there's a somewhat of a, if it's a bunch of like 15-year-olds in there with their cameras off and not talking, and then I'm going to be like, but if I have like you or Jeff or Lego designers or whoever, like just people coming in, then it's fine. Because just to keep some sort of semblance as I, descend into madness over 24 hours.
Have you ever watched the Beyond the Brick 24-hour live stream?
I was supposed to do it last year, but it was my high school reunion that I got roped into, and I totally 1000% regret. And I showed up for part of it, and Lego actually sent me the Star Destroyer that came out last year. Right. And so that ended up getting, for charity as well, did a campaign and gave it to someone. We raised like $5,000 for Creations for Charity earlier this year. So that's finally out of my office. And now for this year, we're going to do a whole slew of things that are not set in stone yet, but there's going to be a lot of cool stuff with that. So
Lego actually sent, because I was slated to be on the 24-hour live stream last year for 24 hours, and I got the Star Destroyer as well, and I had to ship it. Why
was it to Brickwiz?
I think I sent it to Matt.
Yeah.
So that's probably it. And he ended up being the guy who was like on for most of the night, right? I mean, and Joshua does all 24 hours.
No, so it was actually Joshua and Kevin Hinkle who did the full 24. Matt was on part of it, like I was. So I think it all must have happened because obviously Kevin would have got it over Matt, but Kevin was like, nah, I don't need more stuff. So that's why I got it as well as Matt.
Okay, I'll tell you this story.
Okay.
So
we'll answer this eventually. Don't worry.
We will. It's still on the screen, red brick. We will get to it.
Yeah.
So I agreed to do the 24-hour live stream last year when things were still very up in the air with casting for Lego Masters.
Right.
And then I had to, we did not know that we were going to be on the show until we were there, like ready to tape the show. Like we really weren't sure. Even when we flew down, we flew down like 2 or 3 weeks before taping started for a casting finals, but 2/3 of the people that were there for that didn't end up on the show.
But how did you not know, just to get your life in order? Like, hey, family, I'm going to be gone. Bye. Like, that seems very...
It was very weird. So by the time we were flying down, we just had to assume, for the sake of the family planning stuff,
Sure.
that I would be gone for up to 8 weeks.
That's a very long time for like a maybe we'll see.
Yeah. So
You know?
we just had to assume at that point that like it was a done deal. We were going to be on the show, and we were, but
Yeah.
they had never told us. They still had never told us like, congratulations, you're on the cast. It was just like, it was very strange.
Was it for the sake of secrecy? They didn't want it to get out, or
no? I think that they like to be able to make changes at the last minute if
Sure.
they see fit. You know, if they get somebody down there that, you know, they thought was great, and then like they get rolling into things, and it's just not, you know, I think they want to be able to say, all right, we're sending you home, you know, and they didn't. And I've heard of the reason that I was, you know, very up in the air about it, you know, as far as like being certain whether it was actually happening or not, was that I've had other friends. I've talked with friends who have been on other types of reality TV shows. And I do know that there is precedence for them bringing, you know, maybe 13 teams or 12 teams and weeding the last couple of teams out like the day before taping starts. And they only brought 10 teams. But okay, sorry. Answer Red Brick's question.
Okay, so tangent aside, I obviously love Mario in this form right here. Would love to have a minifigure version of him. I will bet my entire life savings that will happen one day. I know nothing, but it only makes sense. If they were to, what would be the next Nintendo theme? Legend of Zelda, obviously. It'd be there would be a set based off of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because it is the #1 selling Zelda game of all time that kids are growing up with now, and then work their way backward and beyond from that point there. So,
all right, there you go. You named mine. I think it is the all-time. It's got to be the all-time second most recognizable property on Nintendo, right? Or
okay, so Nintendo has majority share in Pokemon, which is you know, that is with Mega. That's going to stay with Mega. They're not going to change that. They do licensing deals differently. So yes, other than that, Mario, Zelda.
Yeah, and I suppose that was sort of a I have my age bias, right? Because Pokemon did not exist when I was a child. I mean, I was fairly young when it first came out, but okay. All right. Thank you, Red Brick.
Fun fact for everyone out there, it is one of the highest grossing media franchises of all time.
Pokemon?
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Second to like Hello Kitty. So that's up there too.
Wow. All right. I'm looking for questions. What did Brian did Brian design it, Kirk? This is a question, but I don't think it's a question for us. What is
Kirk had nothing to do with anything I've been involved in. Kirk Wilson, Vision Bricks. He's very overrated in the chat. Don't like talking to Vision every week on the Quarantine Cast. He actually had a birthday recently. He turned 11 years old. I don't know if you knew that, Boone. And he's also apparently 6 foot tall, but he's lying about that too.
Wow. Slinging some, what do you call that? All right. Alicia says, Brian, what would be a dream set you would like to see Lego create?
Well, first of all, hi, Alicia. Thank you. So it is Peach's Castle Ultimate Collector Series scale. I have a very tinfoil hat theory on what I would think would happen with that. I will spare you from that for now, but that is exactly what I would like to see. So,
speaking speaking of tinfoil hat theories, someone was telling me I was somewhere the other day and there was a kid there and he was talking about this thing on YouTube that I'm not going to be able to remember the name of. But it's like a bunch of like kid YouTubers, not necessarily kid YouTubers, but YouTube channels that are directed toward kids,
Sure.
are collaborating on this thing where it's like it's like this secret evil organization is like taking over kids' YouTube channels, and they're weaving this storyline through a bunch of different content across multiple YouTube channel collaborators. And it sounded very fun to me. And I think it would be really fun. And now I'm giving it away in advance. So anyone who's watching this stream has kind of a preview. You're going to know it's fake. But I think it would be really fun if we could somehow set up something similar in like the Lego history. Like all of these Lego YouTubers start uncovering like shocking tidbits from the past of history, Lego history, and there's like clues like in Lego sets that reveal something to be known about the actual history of Lego and the people involved, or something like that.
I think between that idea that you got from that kid and also your review of the haunted house, I think you have it in your head. You're like, it's got to be all connected somewhere.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So, and I don't believe that's true, but wouldn't it be fun if we could tell a story? All right.
That'd be cool.
Oh,
I thought you were gonna say there's some evil organization among all the Lego YouTubers, and I'm like, well, I just throw the shade out there, like wrestling, WWE style, like, oh yeah, they're Kirk Wilson, none of it's real. It's just, but
I used to make fun of the Hanlons a lot, and I don't know, I try not to anymore, but
no, it's great. They deserve all the heat. They don't cut our checks, Boone. They don't cut any checks, so we can say whatever we want.
Brickman Mosaics Art says, at Boone Builds, and Brian, what set did you want as a kid?
One that randomly comes to mind is the there's an old Lego Harry Potter set of the graveyard from the fourth movie. Even though I never saw the fourth movie growing up, I just thought it looked cool. But that's not a particularly special set to me.
I talked about that set in the haunted house video.
Yeah, so that's one. I have gotten to the point now, because people ask like, oh, what's your white whale? What's your whatever? But I have like everything I could ever want now from like when I was a kid or whatever. Like I'm all caught up on the backlog, other than the pipe dream stuff I don't want to spend money on. But no set from when I was a kid strikes me as like, oh, that's what I want next.
Yeah. I've talked about this one before, and we actually, strangely enough, we talked about this at the beginning of the stream, which is why it was strange. But the Cosmic Fleet Voyager was a very late classic space. I believe, if my memory serves me right, it's not memory, it's just like if what I know about the facts of this line serve me right, I believe classic space ran from 1979 to 1987, but it might have been 86. And I believe Cosmic Fleet Voyager came out in like maybe 84, 85, 86, somewhere in there. It was pretty late in classic space. And my very first set was like a gas station from 1986. And so I had, and I actually still have, the little booklet. Back then, the bigger Lego sets would come with a booklet that was the catalog. Smaller Lego sets would come with like just a little thing, that a single page that folded up, and you had a bunch of the highlights of the different themes. And the booklet that came with the larger sets had the entire line. It was the entire catalog from that year. And it was actually at a time when there was a form in there that you could mail away a check and a form with the product number and send away for a Lego set to be sent to you in the mail, which is just so weird to think about. But because that very first set that I built, the gas station, was a 1986 set, it still had classic space sets in the catalog. But by the time I got into space stuff, this was long gone. I got into space stuff around the very end of Futuron, but really more into like Mtron, Blacktron 2 was sort of when I was like, yeah, space. But the Cosmic Fleet Voyager was one that I always wanted because I saw it in the magazine. I didn't know anyone who had it. I never saw a physical copy of it until maybe I'd seen some in museums or something like that. But I found one at a vendor at Bricks Cascade. I want to say, let's say 2018. So maybe 3 Bricks Cascades ago, I found one and I went ahead and bought it for myself. So yeah.
So a question that I have for you is someone who really likes classic space. So I didn't grow up with any of that, right? Totally before my time. I liked Knight's Kingdom 2. So when I think of classic space today, a lot of older fans appreciate what it is. And from what I have been told, just being in like the Lego store for themes like Castle and other themes that are the more original Lego themes like that, they don't sell as well with audiences today. And some would argue that, Star Wars is the space theme. So classic space would not or could not be justified in being brought back. Is that an argument that you can like see and understand? Or do you think that there's some sort of market for both, that they hit a different sort of demographic for young people and like older crowd? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. And what I'll latch on to is the homegrown versus IP,
Sure.
licensed IP. And I think that, yes, Star Wars it's huge. There are a tremendous amount of Star Wars fans. There are many, many Star Wars Lego sets since 1999, and it seems like there are just many more coming out all the time. Tons of duplicates. If we get a new version of this, a new version of that. But Ninjago has done very well for a long time. It seems like, Hidden Side doesn't seem like it's going to stick around very long, but I had a great appreciation for it. Friends is a homegrown theme that we've seen that's been sticking around for quite a while. So I think that, I would look at Ninjago and say, what are the licensed IPs that are competing with Ninjago? It's probably like the superheroes stuff, like Batman, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. Did they find something that was so unique in Ninjago that there's not a big IP out there to license to make it worth it to Lego? You know what I mean?
Right.
But what my only point in that is, I wish that we still had a homegrown space theme, whether it's something like classic space or not. Honestly, I wish that they would give us a season of Ninjago in space. Like, why not? Like, that could totally happen. And then just give us a whole line or two of Ninjago spaceships, you know what I mean? Or whatever.
What I thought was interesting when Barracuda Bay came out, what I was so enthralled.
Which, by the way, is what I believe is my favorite set of the year so far.
There you go. Perfect.
Except maybe Batwing. It's so fresh.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So Barracuda Bay, I have no affinity for pirates at all. Classic pirates, even a little bit. That is one of my favorite sets of the year as well, because of how well it's done as a modern interpretation of a pirates set that not only is a unique Lego ideas thing, but also incorporates the legacy of Lego and presenting that for people of all ages. So I had this idea in my head, like, all right, well, why don't they just do that? But what if they did it for all of the classic themes? So you had like an homage to classic space in one big set, just one set, but it's big. And it's like a base with like because like, a lot of people talk about classic space that are older fans, and I'm like, all right, so you want the same exact thing back, but there needs to be something new that's brought to the table with Lego, either with the pieces or with anything else. So if they did that for maybe monorail, classic space, Western, you could have like a Fort Legorado all decked out, but modernized, and like a one set, but it's big.
And
so,
here's the thing. I really thought Benny's spaceship
is great.
Did that.
Yeah, right.
As far as I'm concerned.
Okay, yeah.
And so then I sort of felt like all the little stuff we got with Lego Movie 2 that was even more like, here's a little bit more classic space stuff. We just got the orange figure in the thing.
Right.
I feel like if there are still people out there saying we want classic space, I don't know how reasonable their expectations could be.
Right.
Because I feel like they've given us quite a bit, through the Lego movies in the last 10 years. But that's my opinion.
Right.
But I really do love your idea. Man, monorail's a thing. I don't even know how to talk about monorail. People keep saying
I have a very like, I'm in an interesting spot with that, because a lot of older fans I've talked to about this are like, this technology, no. But then like, okay, but like, what does monorail do that kids would care about today? Because like, this is going to be toy of the year in all the mom magazines. You bet your bottom dollar. Would monorail do that same thing? Probably not. So like, I don't. But
yeah. And I don't really want it to, like, I want monorail, but here's the thing. I don't really care if Lego brings back monorail or not. It's one of my favorite things about the history of Lego. I love monorail. I love building monorail. The last 3 big kind of like Lego layouts that I've created incorporate monorail. I'm going to keep buying old monorail stuff. I'm going to keep expanding my collection, and I'm going to keep building stuff that's based on that system. But I don't, if they're going to come out with new stuff, I don't really want it to be different. I at least want it to be compatible. And for so many years we've been hearing, well, they don't make monorail anymore because they don't make this piece, and they don't make this piece, and they don't make this piece. But there's no way. I mean, there's no way Lego did Mario without outsourcing some of that, don't you think? Or you think that's 100% Lego manufactured?
So I don't know so what is in here is definitely
Vibracanista.
Vibracanista. Have a good night. It's the combination of Mindstorms to me, all of those different functions and whatnot. So I think whatever the process would be for that would carry over into Mario, because Lego has not done a screen in a build ever. So clearly there's got to be, I mean, it's a small screen. It's not anything special. Like you saw the mechanical parts of Mario. They're super basic for computer, terms, but it must be something like that. But for monorail, I don't understand the hype behind it as someone who's never seen it or never, built with it. And what could monorail do that would be different from a train? What is it? Like, and I'm not trying to sound snarky. I'm legit just like somebody with a rational argument. Like, tell me, I'd love to know, So
I'm a huge monorail proponent, but I won't be surprised if we never get new monorail. I won't be disappointed if we never get new monorail.
Yeah.
Because everything I have is still functioning. Now, I do understand that it's expensive. So yeah, I don't know.
Brent, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to see what Brent Waller had to say here. He says, I have an idea I've been kicking around for a while to resurrect classic space to appeal to new fans and the fans of the old. Yeah. Well, I trust you, Brent. Whatever you got going on there, I can't wait to see it. Satabrix does say monorail can climb hills.
That's obviously a very good part of that. I think that so I always try to think of like these decisions that Lego makes from like a marketing perspective to try to like temper my own expectations of what they could do. So if I were a 7-year-old kid, I'd be like, all right, can this monorail thing connect with my rail pieces that I bought? No, that's dumb. Like why wouldn't I be able to do if I'm a kid, you know, if I'm like buying these rail pieces, and maybe it'd be more for adults, of course, but how expansive would that be? Would adult fans even be satisfied by the amount they would come out with? I don't know.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Classic Bricks says, Boone, Builds, and Brian, would you rather live in a Lego pirate world as a pirate or Imperial soldier, or live in a Lego space station and be an astronaut or a space police officer?
I mean, space, because it's space. It's endless, boundless. But I like pirates.
Yeah. Man, it's hard. I feel like my beard goes better with a pirate character, but I love them both. Space pirates. Okay. Let's see. Let's do it's 7:26. Since we both mentioned that we like to stream for an hour and a half, why don't we do 4 more minutes?
All right, cool.
You got 4 more minutes in you?
Yeah, of course.
And then we'll go from there. Add teeth and gears to roller coaster track. Add teeth and gears to roller coaster
monorail
track.
Right?
Well, yeah. So there was that J.K. Brickworks designed a monorail type thing that functions on roller coaster track. I think that could be pretty cool if Lego is able to sort of like, hone that standard in so that could be built in a reliable way, because then that, they don't have to produce, they don't have to go back to producing the old monorail track. They can just, make the roller coaster track more versatile, which they use those roller coaster track pieces in a lot of other structural arrays too, in random different little things. Okay. Yeah. Scott Schaefer says space pirates on a monorail. Yeah. And
nobody could complain ever again at that point.
Yeah. We had at Bricks Cascade earlier this year, before everything went to, where, I think we were there with one of the representatives from, it was a panel or it was just a presentation from, can't remember who it was, but people are asking questions, and half the room is rolling their eyes about the same questions that get asked over and over again. And somebody said something about monorail, and I'm sitting pretty close to the back, and I said, monorail in a bottle. And so I kind of want to make a t-shirt that's like monorail in a bottle, but
that's great.
Okay. Oh, what does this mean? E-Logger says, Brian, you should tell Boone one of your stories.
Now, Eli is somebody who's been following. So it's to the point where people know more about me than I know about me and what I've shared in my videos. So I've told like awful fast food stories while playing Super Mario Odyssey. I've talked about my Halloween plans while playing Minecraft, just like a bunch of random stories. And I will spare you for now, Boone, on any of those stories for the sake of time here, because they go for quite some time. But
all right. Well, but maybe sometime we should do just a Boone and Brian story hour.
I feel like there's still so many things that we haven't talked about in terms of like Lego, like creator content from that point of view, and all sorts of other topics that, it would put the show you did with Jeff McElwee to shame. So we'll save that for another time, but it's been a pleasure for the time you have had me on for, and I thank you very much for having me here, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, thank you very much, Brian. I really appreciate you. I may or may not be fixing to go eat after we get off the stream.
There you go.
You're gonna have to guess. As usual these days, the current live streams here on Boone Builds are brought to you by the Magic School Bus. Head on over if you haven't already to support my current Lego Ideas project, the Magic School Bus, we're probably going to hit. Why isn't it loading? I think might hit 3,000 supporters in the next couple of days. So that'll be exciting. Thank you all so very much for your support there. Please, everyone, give Brian some big hand clapping emojis in the chat. Again, head on over to Facebook if you want to follow up with what Brian is doing these days. You can find him at facebook.com/BricksO'Brien. And of course, you'll see both of us on Beyond the Brick in the future. And we'll have to do it. We'll have to do another stream sometime, Brian, where we can just sort of dig into some other stuff where we don't have the AFOL Spotlight live structure to pin ourselves into.
Yeah, totally. I love podcasting. I love doing all this. So anytime I'm around, I'm always floating around the internet. So yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for everybody in the chat for being supportive and being here and supporting Boone.
Oh, thanks a lot, buddy. Hey, thank you to my moderators, Dave, Jeff, who else was here? Moto, Perry was here. Thanks to everyone for watching. Jake Sadovich, Scott Schaefer, Classic Bricks, Vision Bricks, Potato Studios, Mo. You all are awesome. Thank you all so very much. This has been Brian Saviano on AFOL Spotlight Live.
Let's go! Climb aboard this proverbial Winnebago. We're talking about the awesome fans of Lego. So build your mock and shift it into drive.